Hi there, Jon Turino here. I thought I'd take a little time tonight to give a little bit of background about where I came from and what I've done over these last many years, just in case you might be interested. I grew up selling pianos and organs with my father in his music store, and I learned an awful lot about the guts of pianos, and I got my early electronics training fixing electronic organs. I've even written a small book called Piano Story, Getting Yes in the Sales Process, which is available from the website at jonturino.com. If you read that, you'll know more about pianos than you ever wanted to, but if you ever go out to buy one, you'll also be as smart as you would ever want to be about it. I went to the U.S. Army for 3 years, graduated from radar school with honors, and spent some time rough duty at the Presidio of San Francisco. So I did not have to go overseas during the Vietnam era, which I'm very happy about. Many of my friends did, and they're still suffering these days. So if you can help a veteran, please help a veteran. From there, I went into the automatic test equipment business at Xerox Data Systems, and then as the applications engineer, field service engineer, eventually vice president of customer support for a company called Instrumentation Engineering, and later moved out to Mountain View, California, in the Bay Area to work for Fluke Trendar. It was during those years that I found out that as electronic circuits were getting a lot more complex, there were some simple things that could be done to make them much easier to test in a manufacturing environment. So one weekend I sat down with a typewriter. This was before computers. This was in 1978. Wrote a 77-page book on that typewriter, an IBM Selectric, using little templates to draw the resistors and the capacitors. And I put that book on nice paper in a walnut cover, 8.5 by 11 format, and priced it at $95, $1978, which today would be about $364. Now, I bought an ad for $1,800 in Electronics Test magazine. That ad today would cost about $6,500. And I sold a few books, even though everybody said I was absolutely crazy and that nobody would buy them. Lo and behold, the second month I reran the ad, sold a few more books, and by the fourth month I had sold enough books to recoup my advertising expenses. By the sixth month, people started calling me up and saying, "Jon, this is a wonderful book. Can you come teach this to our engineers?" And so for the 1980s and early 1990s, I spent my time traveling the world, teaching and preaching to electronic design engineers how to design their circuits to be easier to test. I've been virtually every major electronics company in the world, in the US, in Europe, Scandinavia, and Asia. So I became known as the guru of design for test, the Pope of design for test, the Rambo of design for test. I was literally famous and did seminars all over the world. And I also was active in the Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers and helped build a standard test bus, which in 1990 got adopted, and all the semiconductor companies started building circuits that included this test bus. They also started giving free design for test seminars, which kind of killed my test design for test seminar business because it's hard to compete with free. So I wrote another book called Managing Concurrent Engineering because what I was really doing was teaching people how to communicate. I was teaching them to talk in common languages, debits and credits, instead of nanoseconds and picofarads. And that worked good. I not only did the book at $150 this time in 1990, but also doing seminars until the computer-aided engineering companies, at that time Daisy, Mentor Graphics, and Valid, started building frameworks that would automate that process, and they started giving free seminars on concurrent engineering. And at that point, I didn't have a third book in me, so I ended up moving to Oregon in 1994 and going to work for Mentor Graphics to help market their analog and mixed signal simulation products. I worked for them for a couple of years and then went to integrated measurement systems, marketing capital equipment to the semiconductor world. And then in 2002, the semiconductor business got sick and the capital equipment business got pneumonia. So my job and a great many other jobs just disappeared from the world. So in 2003, at age 55, I reinvented myself as an insurance and financial services agent, and I did that as a farmer's agent for 8 years until we had a falling out over about whether or not I had enough business to open a storefront, hire a staff, and so on and so forth. I had actually made my differentiator the fact that I would come to the client, I would answer the phone in the evenings, I would answer the phone on the weekends, and I'd visit at the home or the office. And that was my differentiator, and my clients loved that. So anyway, I also did a stint with the Alliance of Portland Neighborhood Business Associations, which is now Venture Portland. I was their executive director for a year and a half and did a lot of work helping the 35 business district associations in Portland build their membership and build their events and apply for grants. And I did a lot of testifying before Portland City Hall, City Council. Had a great time at it until the organization decided to change direction, the board, and so we parted amicably. And CenturyLink called me up, and I did 10 months of consulting work for them, along with 18 months of consulting work on my own at Jon Turino Marketing and Connections. And then recently, in the last couple of years, I've been back in the insurance and financial services business. But to kind of wrap that up, I've got a wealth of experience that comes from early training in sales and marketing. It comes from an engineering background in terms of education, my degree in BSEE. But I've been a marketing kind of a guy and a communication and mainly a teacher, especially for those 12 years in the 80s and early 90s when I traveled the world. In fact, I forgot to say that the IEEE standard that got developed is still in use today. And if you have an electronic device, it probably has my fingerprints on it. It's called the IEEE 1149 standard or boundary scan. And it's still in use today in almost every electronic device to make it easier to test. So I've put a lot of those stories together in a couple of books, and I've done a lot of public speaking. And I recently put them all into the Inspiration Now book, which is available from Amazon as either not hardcover, but softcover print version or an electronic version for Kindle or some other electronic reader. So in any case, I was chatting with a friend of mine in Bend the other day, and he said, gee, John, you ought to put this on video and tell people the kind of background you have, just in case you might be able to help somebody. I do a lot of networking in the Portland area, and I do a lot of connecting people to each other, so that if you need something, chances are I can find somebody that can help you. And if you need help, chances are I can find that for you as well. So I guess that kind of wraps it up in terms of what I wanted to say tonight. There'll probably be more of these if anybody really watches it, if anybody cares. But think of me as a resource, not only in the insurance and financial services business, but as an author and a speaker. If you need somebody who knows how to motivate your folks, if you need sales training kinds of things, if you need marketing work, I can do that kind of stuff. I've got a huge background in it. So anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you found it interesting, and I look forward to seeing each of you at some function or another, or on a consulting or speaking assignment. Thanks again. Have a great evening or a great day, whichever the case may be.